So this is without a doubt one of the most compact modules I've ever put together. It's full of really actionable information here, and it's stuff I wish I knew as recently as a year ago, because having known this would have changed a lot for me. So we're going to cover warm opens for how to rizz up a girl, how to really do it properly, and we're going to discuss the dynamic between an inferior man and a superior man, because that framework changes your relationship with girls forever. Very important to know how to speak to them, how to have emotional intelligence, also erotic intelligence to know what they actually want and what men actually want, so you can know where the dynamic switches there. And then all of life is paradoxes. There's paradoxes everywhere. Everything about life is gray zones. So understanding the paradoxes, particularly between men and women, really helpful here. And then the soft spots. So we have different vulnerabilities as men and women. And so I'm going to discuss those at length, show exactly what not to touch on and what happens when you accidentally do. And then at the end, because we're going to do this in order, once you get through all this, how to establish and create a long-term foundation for those long-term relationships. So as I said, we're going to start with the approach, because with this, you're going to learn how to talk to girls, and then we're going to look at the seduction, gender dynamics, and psychological similarities and differences. And then we're going to end it all with how to keep the right girl. Okay, so key to note here is that for all your warm opens and for every single time you relate to any girl, honestly any guy too, when you're going to talk to people in general, you want to have unwavering eye contact. Eye contact is the key. If you cannot maintain eye contact, then this is not going to work. Just keep your eye contact. And why is this so important? Because girls want to feel confidence, because the world at large is full of chaos. And if you cannot hold your own with maintaining eye contact, then that shows that you're not confident enough. And then everything else is just going to fall apart. So I'm going to present 3 scenarios, and in each scenario, I'm going to show you exactly how to open. So the first scenario is in a place where you're constantly running into this girl. So it could be a place like the gym, or maybe she's in your class, or maybe she's in your apartment building and you see her in the elevator. So if you're sharing the same watering hole, then I don't think you realize how much is already working in your favor, because a woman's top concern is her safety. So being already exposed to you multiple times, she knows you live in the building, she knows that you're not really a threat. So this actually helps you out to make the open much easier. So this one's actually really easy. All you need to do is to employ what I call the 3-punch combo. This is almost undefeated. Every single time I do this, it's really easy to just initiate a conversation and make it last and make it wholesome. So the 3-punch combo is you're going to keep that eye contact, make it light. Like if she's looking at you, don't look away, just keep the eye contact, and then do a quick head nod and then say what's up. So let me actually show you what that looks like. So this is funny. First time I'm ever going to be on the camera. So what you're going to do, you're going to maintain eye contact, make it really nice and casual. You don't want to just stare at her, right? Nice, easy, light eye contact, and then you just do one of these. Very subtle, just a little head nod like that, little smile if you can. So that is key. That's the first 2, and then you can just do your open. So especially if you see each other often, so you just do this, you go, what's up? Smile, make it casual, don't make it weird, and then that is your open. And then in the Making Friends modules, I'm going to talk about how you can actually use different dynamics to bring the conversation further along. For instance, like the elephant in the room. If something just happened and some waiter just broke a bunch of dishes, like call attention to the elephant in the room, like the big thing. The other type of tactics is to be like an accomplice, like you guys are both working towards something like a secret mission. So we're going to get into those later, but this is your open. So you're going to do little eye contact, head nod, and then say what's up. Literally just say hey, what's up. Just have that memorized deep down in your system. Just, hey, what's up? You can always just go further along, but you need to have this like muscle memory. Just, hey, what's up? And then once you get in there, you want to use open-ended questions and make comments about her tone and subtleties, because these girls love comments about their energy and vibe. If you talk about their eyes, you talk about their hair, they've heard this stuff all before. But if you talk about subtle things, they love it. So the next scenario is a now or never scenario. So this is like the girl walking by you in the street. This is a girl that you're never going to see again. So for this, you're going to use what's known as the 3-second rule, because 5 seconds is way too long. So again, we're going to do the 3-punch combo. It's undefeated. So light eye contact, head nod, and then you're going to count down from 3, 2, 1, and then you're going to go. You're just going to go. And then you just say, hey, what's up? That's it. That's literally it. And so I included a quick little line you can put in here like, hey, just wanted to come over and meet you real quick. How's your day going? Just make it super natural. This is another human being. That's it. And after doing this for a while, doing that 3-punch combo over and over and over again, it becomes instinctual. I honestly feel that after doing this over 20 times, like after your 21st girl, it becomes a habit. It's kind of like the 21 days for something to become a habit. I genuinely believe that after 21 girls, this becomes super easy. This is just a habit, and it's nothing crazy. You're just saying hi. And by the way, that's what they want anyways. They want you to be comfortable with initiating conversations. Once you get the initial nervousness out of the way, especially in the first few seconds after talking to a girl, you can actually start talking to them like a human being. Honestly, the world would be a better place if more men became comfortable with getting rejected. You should be getting rejected early and often, because once you get out of the way, you realize it's not that big of a deal. And you can actually be confident in yourself, because sometimes you hit, sometimes you don't, but it doesn't matter. They want you to build that confidence that comes from talking to them. Nice guys are actually super dangerous, because nice guys, they don't have the muscle to do this. And so they do all these weird, sneaky weasel ways to get with girls. They form these weird friendships, and they try to sabotage the friendships. And guys, being nice is the absolute bare minimum. That's it. If you expect getting sexual favors out of being nice, then you're just borderline predatory. And I don't know if you've ever seen these guys get rejected when they finally do shoot their shot, but they're some of the most insecure guys out there. They lash out. They're super violent. These are your school shooters. Like, these guys are weird. So get your rejections in. Do it respectfully, but get your reps in. Your country and your women will thank you. The third scenario is when she's going to be in that location for a while. So this could be at a bar, at a club, at a dinner party, but you and her, you're going to be in the same location for a while. So again, the 3-punch combo: light eye contact, little head nod, and then this is my move. I love this move. You just do a little like cheers motion with your glass. You just say cheers. And sometimes they do it back, which is awesome. Sometimes they smile, but just read her reaction. If she reacts positively, like if she has lingering eye contact, she smiles, if she gives the cheers back, then you can try to approach her. I'm telling you guys, this is almost undefeated. That 3-punch combo is almost undefeated. It makes conversations really easy to initiate, and you can honestly tell right away if she's into you or if she's not. Remember, if she's not into you, that's fine. It's okay. Move on. So one of the ways to initiate the conversation, if she does react positively, is to A, approach her, or B, do a little light smile and wave her over. This is awesome. The girls who do come over, when you wave to them, they tend to have some of the best conversations. They love it. It's not really common, particularly nowadays. It's not really common, so they love this. Another thing that you can do is, like, since you're far away, you can kind of play with like the social dynamics of everything. And if she looks over, you can try to pretend like you're shy. You can turn away, hide your face behind a menu, hide your face behind your glass, just be a little silly. You can do those physical comedy bits, and she loves it. Okay, so you got the open. So now let's talk about maintaining the charisma and true Rizz. This method is the tried and true method of keeping conversations going with a girl and increasing your Rizz factor. This is known as the push-pull method. So push-pull, you're basically going to inflate her ego and then deflate her ego. You're going to compliment her and then you're going to tease her. And you're going to do this back and forth, back and forth. So you don't want to be super dramatic with it. You want to be somewhat light. And what this avoids is the interview style questions that she's always getting. Like, what's your name? Where are you from? Like, that gets tiresome, right? You can get that same information out of doing this push-pull method. One of the easiest ways to tease her is to playfully disagree. So whatever she says, just disagree playfully, and she's going to laugh. She's going to play along. It's going to be great. Because as long as you stay enthusiastic and keep the vibe high, then the conversation just flows. But when you disagree, be careful to avoid stoic debate. Like, don't be an asshole. Be a playful asshole. Another easy way to tease her is to playfully disqualify her. So if she says something like, yeah, I'm from California, you can be like, oof, we're never going to work out then. I'm sorry. I got to go. You know, like that kind of things, like that teases her, because she never really hears that. She's always like feeling guys trying to like get her and attain her. But if you disqualify her, then the dynamic is thrown off a little bit. And especially if you do it in a teaseful manner, she loves it. So it goes against her experience. The key is to keep things playful and not monotone. And if you really want to just test the waters and escalate things a little bit, sprinkle in the word cute here and there to see how she reacts. So you can say something like, oh, by the way, you look cute trying to make those boots work, or something, you know, just see how she reacts to that. So again, the push-pull technique is alternating between showing interest and showing disinterest. This dynamic creates a sense of intrigue and makes her more eager to pursue the connection. So here's an example of a push real quick. So you can say something like, yeah, I'll give you my phone number, but you have to promise me not to text me right away or call me too much. Like, she's gonna be like, what? Another thing I like to do is, like, if we're gonna hug, I say, okay, that's enough. Like, this line right here is one of my favorites. I love to say, listen, if I was into blondes, I would be all over you. Too bad though. Like, Also, just play it by ear. If there's a girl who's wearing like all black leather and she looks like stunning, right? I like going up to those girls and being like, hey, I feel like you spend a lot of time in the library. Tell me I'm wrong. Just say something whack like that. Like it fucks with their mind a little bit. Now, for the pull side, you want to mention something you like about her, like genuinely compliment her. You can pull a girl in by talking about a characteristic you noticed. Maybe you noticed that she likes to dance, so ask her for a dance. Maybe she mentioned some hobby of hers, and so you can talk about that a little bit. Like, pay her a genuine compliment. So, in this sphere of Rizzology and Rizzonomics, you'll notice that there's two main schools of thought. There is game, like spitting game and like player dynamics, and then there's just being the man. Game is used for a lot of guys who don't have much choice. Of course, it's super powerful to know how to work a girl and like say the right things and everything, but most of the time I've noticed that a lot of these guys are just lying about who they are. They can sleep with a girl, they do a one night stand, cool, but the girls that tend to fall for that, they're not really the type of girls I want around my life, you know? And I don't know about you, I'm not judging, but it's a whole different game if you just become the man. If you just become the guy, then you're gonna actually attract these girls. And we're gonna talk about that later on in this module, but there's just two ways to view this. So charisma, like true charisma, true Rizz, can be used for the light and the dark. So you decide how you wanna do it, but just understand that that's the framework I'm operating on. I'd rather just be the fucking guy. So with that said, let's talk about some diabolical psychology hacks. So really, if you want to have success with a girl, you need to think about the psychological frame about this relationship. You have to understand what their worldview is, like where it comes from. And whether they like to admit it or not, Freud made it clear that they are always comparing you against her father. Like that's the role model she has. And particularly if that father is absent, then she's looking for male validation. So be aware that some asshole type guys take advantage of this completely, but that's just the truth. You should know what this is. So when you're having these playful conversations in charisma, you should adopt the frame of her older brother, meaning you should always disagree with whatever she says just a little bit, like playfully tease anything she's saying. Don't take it as face value, just tease it a little bit. Take her seriously, of course, but not too much. On a personal note, this is why I love rich girls. Not because of their money, because I believe a woman's money is her money and my money is our money, but I love the life attitudes that come with her having a wealthy father, because her wealthy father has most of the time given her certain worldviews, certain values, and it's really hard to impress a rich girl. You have to actually be a man of character, and so they're not impressed by the bare minimum. So I personally love rich girls, in my opinion. All right, so now we're going to talk about the inferior man. This is super common nowadays. This is a concept that was made popular by the book The Way of the Superior Man, which is a phenomenal read, and it's in the library for you to check out. But there is a pandemic of weak men around. So these weak men, they adopt this 50-50 fallacy where like, I'll put in 50% and I'll expect 50% of my happiness to come from the girl. And they expect this 50-50, which is not the way to go about it, because you as a man, you play by completely different rules as the woman. So the only difference between an intimate relationship and a friendship is intimacy. And this type of equality that is being forced, that equality depolarizes a relationship. The masculine and feminine need each other. They're opposite. You need to understand that. And if you look at this 5 relationship stressors, the first domino to fall is the loss of attraction. And that loss of attraction comes from depolarization. If you are a feminine guy and you have a feminine girl, then eventually the relationship is going to dry out. And an inferior man is always making excuses. So a lot of times these guys, like the Fresh and Fit guys and Brian from the whatever podcast, these guys complain all the time about girls and like, how come things aren't fair? I want things to be equal. These guys are genuine losers. Only pussies complain. Although it is true that simps are destroying the natural order out there, because of a lot of men, a lot of weak, inferior men are paying for OnlyFans subscriptions, we are allowing girls to think that that's an okay thing to do. But we as men, we are the backstop. Like, we should have full extreme ownership over our actions. With that said, you should not be complaining about the double standard. The double standard is a good thing. You should actually own up to the plate. You should do more. So if you ever hear a guy actually wanting equality in a relationship, that just know this is a guy who doesn't want to step up to the plate. You should always be delivering more in a relationship as a guy. Like, that's just how it is. You don't want the relationship to be 50-50. We'll talk about that in a second. Now let's compare that to the superior man. The superior man framework is discussed in the book at length, so I highly suggest you check out the book. But the superior man looks for and understands the 100-100 abundance relationship. They put in 100% of themselves, and their woman puts in 100% of herself. So these type of guys, they don't chase girls. They absorb them. They understand that they need to put work into their garden. They need to build a garden, build themselves into someone who is worthy of maintaining a fruitful relationship. So a superior man understands that there's a spiritual and psychological archetype of female energy in its highest form. That divine feminine looks for and requires a divine masculine. A real relationship, a real 100-100 relationship, every single day, these people choose to love each other. Is not set on easy mode. Every day they choose to be together. The guy puts in 100% of himself and the girl puts in 100% of herself. And again, be careful of depolarization. True female energy is expression. It's dance, it's song, it's praise. Feminine energy is like the ocean. A woman can self-impose a frame on herself. She's absolutely capable of doing that. But when she does that, she loses her female energy. It's like putting walls up against the ocean. You create a pool. Like, she lost all that energy. She lost all that glow, that bounce. And on the other side, freedom is the essence of aliveness for men. A true masculine man can hide his soul for a masculine female by wearing a feminine mask, but eventually his masculine core will break through. You can't take a man's soul. He has to give it to you. So visually, a masculine man is a mountain. And it's a mountain the feminine wave can crash into, and he remains stoic. A woman will never relax into her full feminine if you cannot demonstrate you're in your full masculine. That's why I don't like when men complain about this. If you can't handle a girl, you can't handle the world, because women are chaotic, they're expressive, they're natural, like they just do things. And then you should be a stoic masculine mountain. You should just understand that's how they are, understand their nature, and then you provide the frame. That's it. So when I hear red pill guys on the Fresh and Fit podcast, for instance, talk about wanting their girls to be masculine, I know that they don't have the EQ, the emotional intelligence, to understand the language they speak. So it's true, men and women speak two completely different languages, and that's actually a good thing, because now we have to do a little homework and understand each other. Like, if you actually want to thrive in society, then you should do a little investment in yourself and learn how to speak to these people. If you want to actually have effective communication in a relationship with men and women, then you should know each other's language. So for men, we look for logical solutions. We cut to the chase and we demand accountability. That's just how our brains operate. Women, on the other hand, they're looking for sympathy. When something goes wrong, they look for sympathy. They want to understand the emotional reasons behind actions because they have a higher loyalty to the emotional realm. And that's not a bad thing. We should not shame them for being this way. We should understand their nature. We should offer them grace, and this allows them to remain playful and give her space to vent, but you should have the masculine frame to be able to handle it. That's it. So I was in a relationship for 8 years, and I used to think I was smart by shortcutting and asking right off the bat, hey, are you looking for a solution, or are you just looking for support and sympathy? Because I knew this dynamic. I knew that she was looking for sympathy. In reality, by doing this and having her most of the time basically admit that she wasn't looking for a solution, I was actually invalidating / stonewalling these moments to connect. So what I'm saying is just give her sympathy. Don't tell her you psychoanalyzed her. Every girl wants to feel unique and understood, so just let her think that. In a very real way, by understanding her psychology and treating her right, she is going to be grateful. If you tell her you hacked her psychology, she is going to resent that. So this is a concept that was communicated to me by Arlen Moore, and it was mind-blowing. It's so useful. So the secret to understanding each gender is in the anatomy. So the analogy is in the anatomy. What do I mean? So men, we have a phallus, right? So our nature and how we interact with the world is very much like that. What do I mean? We are designed to penetrate the world. Like, we are very quick to action. If something needs to happen, we get hard right away and we just go, right? We penetrate the world. We go. And it's very aggressive and it's really quick. So contrast that with a female nature. So female nature, it takes a little while to warm her up, like to open up to the world. And also they consume things. They consume time, they consume resources, they consume attention. Again, this is not a bad thing. We need to understand each other's nature. This is just how it is. Okay. So you do not want to fault a man for being a man. You do not want to fault a girl for being a girl. Like, this is just how our natures are. So in the realm of Rizzology, if you know that she wants to consume all of her man's time and all of her man's attention, then the worst thing you can do is actually give her 100% of your time, 100% of your attention, because she's going to be like, what the fuck? Because that is insatiable for her. She's always going to want more. So you should not give her 100% of your attention. You should not give her 100% of your time. That's why in the spiritual modules, it's so important to have a purpose, have a mission. You should be working on that and make your mission the center of your life, not your relationship. Your purpose is the center of your life. And she actually is going to respect you for it. There's nothing worse for a woman to see that she can completely manipulate her man. That's actually revolting to her. She doesn't want to take care of you. She doesn't want to be your mom. And of course, she's likely going to tell you the opposite. She's going to tell you, no, I need to be the center of your world. I need to be the center of your life. But if you actually give it to her, she's going to resent you. So be careful with that trap. So in the realm of emotional intelligence, you need to understand each other's soft spots. This is where we're most vulnerable, and be careful with this area. So these are the 3 U's that hurt women. So the first is unseen. If she feels unseen, then she's going to feel really vulnerable and might look to leave. So this is actually one of the main reasons why women cheat, because they feel unseen. So to help her feel seen, you should regularly express what you appreciate about her and take time to notice what usually goes unnoticed. The other one is to feel misunderstood. So to make her feel understood, you should let her vent to you, validate her feelings, and just shut up and listen. And the third is unsafe. So women love guys who can make decisions. Be a decisive person. Be able to make a decision and stick to it. Also, you should be reliable. You should be a protector and a provider. If you can't do those things, then she's going to leave. Remember, women will not love you unconditionally. Only your mom is going to love you unconditionally. And that's a good thing. That's fine, because you should step up to the plate and deliver on those conditions. Would you really respect a woman who would love you unconditionally no matter what you do? Just let you step all over her? No. That's not a good mother for your children. So you should be proud that she has conditions on your love. That's fine. Just accept it. That's the way of her nature, and it actually helps you and society. On the other hand, the 3 C's that hurt men are criticized. So a woman can tear down a guy by just constantly criticizing him. So she should take a moment to sincerely thank him for what he brings to the table and boast about him to others. This is going to make him feel like $1,000,000. Also, guys resent when they feel closed. They love when a girl can open up to them. A girl who can be warm, open, and affectionate, that's going to make him feel like a man. And then feeling controlled drives men crazy. So as a woman, you should give ownership to your man. You should not micromanage him. Ask him for his input. Show that you value his opinion and encourage him to do things that he loves. You should say things like, what makes you happy makes me happy. And then you should say the same thing to your girl. You should let her express herself. Remember, full femininity is expression. And now we're going to talk more about erotic intelligence. So this is how to maintain that polarity throughout the relationship. So a concept that absolutely blew my mind and I learned for the first time in the last few years is the concept of the female gaze. So the female gaze is the way in which women view the world and men at large, and it's actually very different to how us guys think women view the world. So on the right there, if you see C-Bum, we think that's the ideal male physique. He just won his 5th Mr. Olympia, which is insane. So we think if we get super jacked and we get a Lambo, that girls are going to just fly to us. That's not really the case. If you look on the right, that very lean Brad Pitt physique, that's actually what brings in a lot of girls. And so understanding the female gaze is really important. So women, by large, are seduced by what they hear. They love mystery. Remember that they are consumers. If you give her everything, you give her your whole backstory, what you do, what your kinks are, then you're going to lose the whole mystery. And she's going to just not be that into you. Whatever they fantasize about is more interesting than what you tell them. So keep the mystery alive. And the book on the left, Seduction by Robert Greene, we're going to talk more in depth about that in the next few slides, but there are key differences to how women and men fantasize. And actually, the big secret of female sexuality is that it is massively narcissistic. And again, no judgment. That's fine. That's their nature. What do I mean by that though? She needs to want herself. Ask a woman if she would make love to herself. She needs to first like herself. If she can't like herself, then she's not going to allow you to fuck her. What turns her on is to be the turn on. The only way you guys are going to fuck is if she wants to. That's the big secret of female sexuality. It's massively narcissistic. And again, that's fine. And that's the main subject of all these female erotica books, is these girls want to be fucked. They don't want to be made love to. They want to get fucked. Now compare that to how men fantasize. Men tend to fantasize by what they see. They love novelty, new things. So playing around with different scenarios, playing around with different girls, if you think about it that way. But if you're in a committed relationship, you should think about, honestly, how to introduce novelty in there. So that's a real conversation you have to have with your girl. And something really key is exclusive access. If everyone has access to that girl, then guys simply just don't want her. And the key to keep novelty alive in a committed relationship is to switch between objectification and admiration. So you got to keep things novel there. So stop fucking on the bed each time. Take her out back and split her in half, Just do things that spice things up, but also make sure to keep the communication open and express these are your wants and needs. All right, so that book, The Art of Seduction by Robert Greene, I'm still working on it. It's an audiobook for me right now, But in there, he talks about certain seductive archetypes. So we're going to cover 6 of them. And in this book, Robert Greene outlines various archetypes or personas that individuals can adopt to enhance their seductive abilities. Each archetype represents a different approach to seduction and can be utilized in different contexts. So the first archetype is the siren. So this is someone who's alluring and captivating, and they use their charm to enchant and mesmerize their target. So these are people like Cleopatra. So she famously had massive sensuality. She seduced Julius Caesar. The next archetype is the rake. This is a seductive individual who's known for their boldness and unapologetic pursuit of pleasure. So people like this exude confidence, and James Bond comes to mind. Also, when I go through these archetypes, identify which type of archetype you are. And if you don't have one, that means you don't really have a format. You should really try to adopt one of these because these archetypes do have success. They have a proven track record. Next archetype is the coquette. In Spanish, la coqueta. So the coquette is playful and teasing, and they maintain a sense of mystery and elusiveness. So if you've ever seen a Marilyn Monroe movie, you see how she keeps her eyes halfway open. Like, these are very seductive type of people. And then the other one is the ideal lover. So they embody the qualities that their target is looking for. They do everything they can to check all the boxes for you. Someone like this is your Prince Charming, right? Then there's the charmer, who's friendly and charismatic, and he effortlessly wins over people with warmth and sociability. So Craig Ferguson comes to mind. I'm telling you, this man is world class at what he does. Watch all his interviews, especially when he was hosting The Late Show. This is one of the most charismatic people on the planet. Then there's the dandy. This is someone who's really sophisticated and refined. Think really old money. These people are very eccentric. They have a meticulous routine and they just get things done, right? So someone like this is Jay Gatsby, for instance. So as I mentioned, all of life is paradoxes, and understanding these paradoxes is going to make life so much easier for you to live. There are 2 main frameworks in the world. There's the black and white binary system where it's either this way or that way. And then there's the framework that there's a dynamic to be managed. There's no black and white answer. So for instance, there's 2 ideas that can be true, but they're actually at odds with each other. For instance, the idea of justice and mercy, right? They're both noble virtues, but they go against each other, right? So these are paradoxical ideas, and the same is true with gender dynamics. So let's explore those. So Tony Robbins popularized the idea of having 6 human needs. All humans have these 6 human needs, but in a different order. We all seek to meet these 6 human needs, but we tend to value 2 more than the rest. And what's interesting is that these first 4 needs, there are needs of personality, and they're paradoxical to each other. Some people value certainty way more than uncertainty or variety, and vice versa. Some people love to spice things up. They don't want to have the same routine day to day, whereas other people, they value security and certainty way more, so they need that, right? Other people, they value significance, for instance. They love to get validation from people. They love to have the significance, the air of significance, right? Whereas other people, they value more of the connection side. They don't really care if they get recognized. They want to connect with people. That's what they care about most. So those are the 4 personality needs. However, you must meet your spiritual needs to experience sustainable joy instead of momentary pleasure. So there are 2 spiritual needs. Now, some people value one over the other. You should figure out which of these 2 you're mostly leaning towards. Is it growth? Is it just wanting to get better? Or is it contributing to something, like leaving a legacy? So for me, I recognize that I value variety a lot, like a lot. And although it's not ideal to say, I do value significance a lot. I love to connect with people, of course, but I do recognize, and I'll be honest, I want to stand out from the crowd. And also be honest, before the last 2 years, I was not pursuing my spiritual needs at all. I didn't really care about contribution, and I didn't really care about personal growth. I'm just being honest. But now, after the last 2 years, I've really recognized the importance of wanting to grow, using that Kaizen mentality, getting 1% better each day. And so I've leaned fully into growth. Speaking of paradoxes, the double standard that people complain about all the time is actually a good thing because it's forcing men to step up to the plate. Most of the time, when people complain about these things, it's men saying like, hey, I can't believe like women can get away with this. They do that. They spend all my money. Like, dude, just get your money up. Just get fit. Just do better. All right. And then you're naturally going to filter out all the nasty girls away. Like, you want the double standard. The most dangerous guys out there are the emotional men. You don't want that. Just make more money, pay the bill, get in shape. And then for girls too, like you as a girl, you don't want the guys who can't get laid. You want the guys who have options and choose to be exclusive with you. Like, Let's be honest here. And there's that analogy of the lock and the key. Of course, it's going to be much harder and therefore much more impressive if a guy can sleep with a lot of girls rather than a girl can sleep with a lot of guys, because she has the final say on who has sex, right? She has to say yes. So she's always walking around with that yes in her pocket, whereas the guy, he has to work towards that yes. So it's not impressive for a girl to sleep with a bunch of guys. That's why there's a double standard there. But again, that's a good thing because this pushes society to be better. So I made this next paradox its own section because it's particularly interesting. This is the hard-soft paradox. So once you do get into a relationship, you're going to notice that she's always going to challenge you. This is actually going to harden you as a man because what she's doing, whether consciously or not, is she's trying to shake the psychological mother out of you. She doesn't want a man-child. If she notices that you're not paying your bills, for instance, you're not working hard, if you're getting fat, if you can't take care of yourself, she's going to call you out. So you should actually thank her for it. But these little micro challenges will never stop. And as soon as you recognize that, the more at peace you'll be. Just know that she's always going to challenge you. And that's actually a good thing. It hardens you. It forces you to be a man of action. It forces you to be a good person. No one wants a man-child. And actually, a woman's intuition is one of the most powerful things out there. Like, she knows when you're bullshitting yourself. She knows when you're not doing the best you can. And she can smell that, and she hates that. So if she's ever nagging you, just look within yourself for a second and recognize that, like, yeah, I'm actually not doing the most I can. So thank you for it. So while on that side, she's hardening you, there's also a similar dynamic where she's trying to soften you. You got to be really careful with this because although she is saying certain things, if you do fall for it and you keep giving her what she wants, she's going to eventually resent you. She will lament you for not being able to stick up to her. A lot of good things come out of being in a relationship with a girl for a long time. For instance, they start to understand their emotions better. They get a higher EQ. They also have something known as the girlfriend effect. So they start dressing better. They start taking care of themselves better. These are both good things. However, there's a fine line between that and becoming completely pussy whipped. So many times what a girl says is not what she actually means. And again, rather than resenting that, just understand that's just their nature. That's okay. So just understand that although she's saying certain things to soften you, do not fall for it every time. Keep your edge. Now let's discuss hypergamy. So hypergamy is used to describe the overall practice of women marrying up in socioeconomic status. And although higher incomes don't necessarily equate to higher social class, financial security is one of the main drivers of female hypergamy. This may be an evolutionary callback to prehistoric women's need for a capable provider. So again, this is understanding their nature. You should not resent women for this. Like, this is actually a good thing because it forces you as a guy, if you want a quality girl, to step up your game and make more money. So this is what dating looks like now. So there's all these girls fighting for the same small group of guys. What ends up happening is that some of these women who will not be linked up with someone, they are going to reach age 40, 50, and they just refuse to marry down. So they end up becoming those cat ladies that we know about. But on the other side, there are a majority of guys who are actually invisible to girls. So this is a very interesting dynamic. People used to marry across most of the time. But the analogy that helps a lot with understanding this is that women view dating like men view jobs. Do not take this personal, okay? They just want the best circumstances they can. So just how like we view a job application, like we wouldn't be mad if our coworker got an offer to work at a place with higher pay, better benefits, more vacation time. Like that makes total sense. Of course, you should leave your job and go for that. That makes absolute total sense. Women view the same thing. If they come across a guy who can offer her a better lifestyle, a better sense of security, then of course it makes sense. She has a higher loyalty to that, okay? Remember, women don't have unconditional love towards you, and that's fine. They have conditions. You should just try to step up and meet those conditions. That's just how they think. That's how they are. So just understand this is a screenshot of how the world is operating. This is reality. Look at it. This is reality. And rather than lamenting it, you should do something about it and put yourself in a better situation. One thing inferior men do is complain about the friend zone. What they don't understand is that men friend zone themselves. If you don't make your intentions clear, she's going to put you in the friend zone. And as we'll talk about in the next slide, friendship is okay. Having female friends is absolutely okay. It's actually more than okay because they actually help you with pre-selection, make you more qualified for other girls. But if you want something with a girl and you don't make it clear, that's on you. Like, you should be able to walk away from a girl at any time. Like, you should be able to have the stones to say, this is what I want. Oh, if she rejects you, cool, peace. Like, you should have the ability to do that, okay? And if you do want her as a friend, make that clear too. You have no one to blame but yourself for being in the friend zone. Now, having girlfriends is an absolute cheat code of life. You kind of can get the girlfriend effect, so they can tell you about the fashion, what girls actually into, tell you about the female gaze, learn about their psychology. You get a lot of inside tips from having girlfriends. A. B, you get more comfortable talking to girls. They present you to their friends. Like, you have an absolute cheat code by being friends with girls. And again, you should impose the frame though. Like, you should say, hey, we are friends. This is what I want. I want a friendship with you, and make things clear. An interesting thing happens when you start hanging around with girls, which is this phenomenon known as pre-selection. Girls tend to desire in groups. So if they see you with a bunch of girls, then that communicates to them that guy is not a weirdo. He's already been vetted and checked out by other girls, and he's cool. He's not a serial killer. He's cool. He can understand girls. He can talk to girls. Like, that makes you so much more attractive in their eyes. So just having friendship with girls is one of the best things you can do. So we finally arrived here. After doing all that, you've done the vetting process, you've worked your ass off to get the type of girl you want. Let's talk about establishing the right foundation. So personally, this is how I visualize it. I feel like there are 3 main components in a long-term relationship: values, mission, and attraction. I personally put values as the base. I recognize that physical attraction fades with time. It's just natural. But if you have your values in place, because the plan is you're going to spend decades with this person and build a family with them, you should have similar values, and you should have those values as the base of your relationship. You should also recognize that most people do not consciously choose their values. It's just imposed on them through their culture, through their family. So you really want to understand who they are, what they actually do value, and you can see that through their actions. 45% of our days is habitual. So if you just spend enough time with them, you can see who they truly are. One thing I like to do is to take girls on a trip. So I do a road trip, spend the weekend with them, just travel with them, because doing so introduces a bunch of different variables, a bunch of different chaos, and you can see how they react to that. So you can really kind of see who they are. And then above that is a mission. Like, she should be working towards something. What is her purpose? Remember, we were talking about that in the spiritual modules. You should see what her purpose is, what her mission is. That's important to know, but it's not as important, in my opinion, as having the core values in place. And then there's attraction. It's one of the 3 pillars, so it's super important to me. It's the reason why I approached the girl in the first place, but just understand that this is going to fade with time, and that's natural. So this is what I call the value-based relationship. However, this is what I usually see. This is a vanity-based relationship, where at the base is the attraction. And you can see how wobbly this is, because if their base is attraction, that's going to naturally fade with time. And since their base is attraction, a vanity metric, then it's really easy to fall into lust and start cheating and doing all sorts of things. So this is not really sustainable. This has a faulty base. It has a faulty foundation, and it's the most common. All right, so we covered a lot. So let's look at the homework for this module. All right, for this module, you're going to use that 3-punch combo. Remember the light eye contact, the little head nod, and then the what's up. You're going to use that 3-punch combo to at least one lady in each of these 3 circumstances. So you're going to do this 3 times. 3 girls, 3 scenarios. So the first scenario, remember, it's a girl you're constantly running into. This is someone at the coffee shop, the gym, the school hallway. This is a girl you're constantly running into. Remember, light eye contact, head nod, what's up? Get the conversation started. The second scenario is someone you're never going to see again. So that really hot girl who walks by you. So you're going to do the 3-second rule, 3, 2, 1, head nod, eye contact, hey, what's up? Okay? Then the third scenario is someone who's going to be in the same place as you for a while. So this is someone at the bar, club, dinner party, like someone who's going to be in the same location as you for a while. Do the little cheers motion from across the room. Bonus points if you wave her over. And then again, 3-punch combo, undefeated. After you do that, you should identify your top 2 human needs. Remember, it's certainty versus variety, significance versus connection, and then growth and connection for those spiritual needs. All right, and that's your homework for this module. Key takeaway, guys, is you should not resent girls for being who they are. That's their nature. You should love them. It's also another harsh truth, but we love to speak in truths here, that only women, children, and dogs are loved unconditionally. Us as men, we need to provide something to the table to get love. And rather than resenting that like a bitch, you should appreciate it, understand it, and do something about it. So see you guys in the next module. Peace.